When it came to delighting television audiences in the 1990s, this MTV duo scored big time. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 Beavis and Butt-Head moments. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're looking at the most memorable moments related to Beavis and Butt-Head, whether it's from the TV show, the movie, or pop culture. Number 10. Media Crusade. Inspired by a Ben Franklin documentary they watch on TV, Beavis and Butt-Head decide to fly a kite during a storm to see if they can recreate the Founding Fathers' famous kite experiment. Unfortunately, an accident caused by lightning sends the boys to the hospital, where they're interviewed by a reporter who asks them about their viewing habits.
We were watching this TV show that had some, old dude with long hair and glasses.
Later on, the reporter goes on air and takes their comments out of context, blaming rock music instead of the Ben Franklin TV special.
We're not saying there was a connection, but certainly the coincidence is difficult to ignore.
This episode is a hilarious and satirical commentary by creator Mike Judge about misguided activists who blame music or TV for shaping young people's behavior. Number 9. House Destruction. When a fly won't stop pestering Beavis and Butt-Head as they're sitting on the couch, they decide to kill the nuisance. However, the objects they choose to complete this task, a hammer and a shovel, aren't very helpful, and they end up causing a big mess all around the house. This leads to an escalation of harebrained schemes to attract the fly in order to exterminate it. But each successive plan backfires miserably and hilariously.
If you open the window, the fly will get away.
The slapstick and mayhem in this episode are comedy gold, especially when the duo's destruction ends up attracting an entire horde of flies. Number 8. Repeating kindergarten. As Beavis and Butt-Head tend to be slackers with questionable intelligence, they don't excel in an academic environment, which is clearly demonstrated in this episode. When the two flunk a math class, they're sent back to the 8th grade.
This sucks.
Unfortunately, this more remedial environment doesn't work out for them, and they keep doing so poorly, they eventually have to repeat kindergarten, where they end up being even more immature than their 5-year-old classmates. Tired of their shenanigans, the principal of the elementary school pretends that Beavis and Butt-Head are smart, and by the end of the episode, they're right back where they started.
For crying out loud!
Number 7. A Day at the Office. The title of this episode, Temporary Insanity, refers to the office temp jobs at a real estate agency the boys accidentally get through a misunderstanding. They take the job as seriously as you'd expect them to, setting fire to their work computer and using the office copy machine to copy pictures of their naked butts, a gag the show would later revisit in its 2011 revival.
Copy my butt, copy my butt, copy my butt.
Most surprisingly, though, the two managed to get along with their coworkers and boss, despite their poor work ethic and sheer incompetence. I guess a break in the monotony is always appreciated, even if it's caused by two anarchic teenagers.
Okay, so I've pretty much just made the corrections in red here, and it's not a super rush. As soon as you get a chance, that would be great.
Number 6. Sex Ed Week. Tired of the boys constantly disrupting class, Principal McVicker punishes Beavis and Butt-Head by making them go through an impossible challenge. They can't laugh for an entire week.
That's right, and if they do laugh, they'll be expelled.
Raising the stakes even higher, the principal tells the boys if they're caught laughing, they'll be expelled. And to make things more difficult, it's Sex Ed Week, which is being taught by Coach Buzzcut.
Sexual intercourse, the scrotum, the clitoris.
Aware of the arrangement, Buzzcut gets in the duo's face and says several sex-related words like penis and masturbation to try to make them laugh and get kicked out.
Gaylord, Ivan.
That's some Clockwork Orange-style torture. Number 5. Medical Emergency. If you're the type that gets squeamish at the sight of blood, this episode is sure to make you squirm. When Butt-Head repeatedly punches Beavis in the nose during some roughhousing, Beavis starts to develop a nosebleed. As Beavis's nose continues to bleed, Butt-Head tries to help make it stop with some experimental methods, such as slapping Beavis in the face and putting a bag over his head.
I'm bleeding, Butthole! What are you doing?
Between Beavis's panicking and Butt-Head's very faulty problem-solving skills, this episode is a bloody good time.
I'm bleeding. Oh, I'm still bleeding.
Number 4. Duet with Cher. In 1993, Beavis and Butt-Head released an album, and one of the tracks was a cover of the classic Sonny and Cher song, I Got You Babe. Since I Got You Babe is one of the sappiest songs ever written, it's one of the last songs you'd think these metalheads would agree to sing.
You got me, and Butt-Head, I got you.
However, this is an updated, rocked-out version of the song, complete with blaring electric guitar and new, edgier look from Cher that's very different from her days singing with Sonny Bono. Number 3, their first appearance. This segment, which was originally a 1992 standalone short, was the first appearance of Beavis and Butt-Head, and it set the tone for the series that was to come.
Frog baseball!
We find the two boys in the desert exploding insects with firecrackers when they come across a frog. What they decide to do next is play a cruel and unusual game called Frog Baseball, which is exactly what it sounds like. For those who are appalled by the violent content from the short, there's a disclaimer at the end that assures anyone watching that no animals were harmed, except for Beavis. Number 2, meeting their fathers. In this scene from the duo's feature-length film, we finally get some insight into what kind of parents Beavis and Butt-Head had.
One of you bastards got a match?
While the pair's wandering the desert, they come across two men who look suspiciously like them. Camping out later that night, the boys find out the men used to be roadies for Motley Crue, and that they'd once spent a night in Highland hooking up with two loose women.
You scored with 2 chicks?
Yeah, they were sluts.
While it has its fair share of laughs, the scene's also kind of sad, suggesting Beavis and Butt-Head may have met their fathers, but they were too dense to know it. Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
Oh my God!
It seems that little beaver here ran afoul of some asphalt.
Asphalt.
And you weren't there to destroy Daria's image of boys or ruin Christmas. You see, Butt-Head, it really is a wonderful life without you.
No way. This sucks.
Number 1, I Am Cornholio. Perhaps the most enduring running gag from Beavis and Butt-Head is when Beavis would don the alter ego Cornholio.
I am Cornholio.
Whenever he had too much sugar to eat or went through some kind of nervous breakdown, Beavis would go through a wild transformation where he pulled his shirt over his head, raised his arms, and proclaimed, I am Cornholio. He would then run around requesting TP for his bunghole, while onlookers stood confused as to what was happening in front of them. The erratic nature of Cornholio perfectly reflects the anarchic spirit of the show.
I am the great Cornholio. I have no bunghole.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.